I'm sure many of you have heard, I've recently been the victim of a scandal in the media, and there's been some very, very serious allegations made against me.
Oh no, I think in all of these things, you have to just sort of Google Earth yourself and realise that it doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean? And actually you go, well, if you know, what's the worst thing that can happen?
James Corden is a hugely gifted comedian, but a tiny cretin of a man, and the most abusive customer to my Balthazar servers since the restaurant opened 25 years ago.
At 47, the tragedy of James Corden is leaving fans speechless as his carefully constructed persona crumbles under the weight of his own cruelty.
And we can all see you dying right now. Let's go for it. Here we go.
The mask had been slipping for years, but few realized how deep the rot truly went.
Look, I'm just shocked I've done something that upset people more than cats.
This is the story of how James Corden systematically destroyed everything he built through a pattern of behavior that shocked even Hollywood. James Corden arrived in America in 2015 with a golden reputation, built on the success of Gavin and Stacey, the beloved British sitcom he co-created and starred in. CBS executives saw him as the perfect replacement for Craig Ferguson on The Late Late Show, a charming, self-deprecating Brit who could bring warmth and authenticity to late-night television.
How's everybody doing? Did everyone have a good week off? You had a week off? Did you have a good one in? Did you have a good week off? Yeah.
They had no idea what they were unleashing. Behind the scenes, warning signs were already emerging. British entertainment industry insiders knew a different James Corden than the one American audiences were falling in love with. Stories circulated about his behavior during the height of his UK fame, when success had gone to his head in ways that would prove prophetic. The transformation was gradual but noticeable to those working closely with him. Corden's early success with Gavin and Stacey had created an ego that seemed to grow with each opportunity. When he moved to America, that ego found fertile ground in Hollywood's star-making machine. His first major American controversy came disguised as comedy. At the 2010 Glamour Awards in London, while hosting the ceremony, Corden found himself in an unexpected confrontation with legendary actor Patrick Stewart. What started as a simple awards presentation turned into a public humiliation that revealed Corden's true character when challenged.
And we can all see you dying right now. Let's go for it. Here we go.
Stewart, presenting an award, paused to address Corden directly about his unprofessional behavior on stage. The veteran actor called out Corden for standing with his hands in his pockets, looking bored and disengaged while other presenters spoke. Instead of graciously accepting the criticism, Corden lashed out. The exchange escalated when Stewart made pointed remarks about Corden's appearance and demeanor.
From where I was sitting, I can see your belly. And that was right over there at the back of the room.
Rather than diffusing the situation, Corden fired back with personal attacks, telling Stewart he could see him dying on stage. The audience watched in stunned silence as the confrontation spiraled out of control. This moment at the Glamour Awards became a defining incident, though its significance wouldn't be fully understood until years later. It showed a pattern that would repeat throughout Corden's career. When his authority or image was challenged, he responded with aggression and contempt rather than professionalism. The incident also revealed something troubling about Corden's relationship with respect and hierarchy. Stewart was a revered actor with decades of experience, yet Corden showed no deference or humility when corrected. This lack of respect for others would become a recurring theme in the controversies that followed. When Corden began hosting The Late Late Show in March 2015, he seemed to have learned from his past mistakes. His on-camera persona was warm, inclusive, and genuinely funny. Carpool karaoke became a global phenomenon, generating billions of views and turning Corden into one of the most recognizable faces in entertainment.
No secret that the both of us are running out of time. That was amazing.
The show's success masked growing problems behind the scenes. Production staff began to notice a stark difference between the James Corden viewers saw and the one they worked with daily. While cameras captured his infectious laughter and playful banter with celebrities, crew members experienced something entirely different. Reports emerged of Corden's treatment of production staff during tapings. Audience members and crew described incidents where he would snap at workers who made minor mistakes, displaying the same contempt he'd shown Patrick Stewart years earlier. The jovial host persona disappeared the moment filming stopped. His behavior toward guests also raised eyebrows among industry professionals. Critics began noting how Corden dominated interviews, interrupting guests and making conversations about himself rather than his famous visitors. The carpool karaoke segments, while popular with audiences, became exercises in Corden positioning himself as the star rather than facilitating genuine moments with his guests.
I'm sure many of you have heard, I've recently been the victim of a scandal in the media, and there's been some very, very serious allegations made against me.
The disconnect between his public image and private behavior became more pronounced as his fame grew. Colleagues noticed he seemed to believe his own publicity, treating The Late Late Show as his personal platform rather than a collaborative effort. Technical crew members, writers, and production assistants found themselves walking on eggshells around him. Industry insiders began sharing stories about Corden's demands and expectations. He insisted on controlling every aspect of production, even areas where he lacked expertise. When challenged by directors or producers who knew better, he would become defensive and hostile, viewing any suggestion as a personal attack on his authority. The success of Carpool Karaoke only amplified these tendencies. As the segment became CBS's most valuable digital property, Corden's sense of his own importance grew exponentially. He began demanding creative control over other aspects of late-night television, believing his one viral success made him an expert in all areas of entertainment.
And we asked him to take part in this program.
Right.
And he chose not to.
Behind the scenes, experienced Hollywood professionals watched with growing concern as Corden's behavior became increasingly erratic and entitled. They recognized the pattern from other celebrities who had let fame corrupt their judgment, but Corden seemed particularly resistant to guidance or correction. The facade began cracking publicly in October 2022, when restaurateur Keith McNally posted a devastating Instagram blast that exposed Corden's treatment of service staff. McNally, owner of the prestigious Balthazar restaurant in New York's Soho district, banned Corden from his establishment, calling him a tiny cretin of a man and the most abusive customer to my Balthazar servers since the restaurant opened 25 years ago. The incident that triggered McNally's public outrage involved Corden's wife ordering an egg yolk omelet with Gruyere cheese and salad. When the dish arrived with traces of egg white mixed in, Corden called over their server to complain. The kitchen quickly remade the dish, but accidentally sent it back with home fries instead of salad. What happened next shocked the restaurant staff. Corden exploded at the server, yelling that she couldn't do her job and threatening to go into the kitchen to cook the omelet himself. The manager who witnessed the incident reported that while Corden remained pleasant with him, he was viciously nasty to the server.
Keith writes, James Corden is a hugely gifted comedian, but a tiny cretin of a man and the most abusive customer to my Balthazar servers since the restaurant opened 25 years ago.
Reducing her to tears. This wasn't an isolated incident. McNally revealed a previous encounter from June 2022, when Corden had found a hair in his food after eating most of his main course. Instead of handling the situation gracefully, Corden became extremely nasty to the manager, demanding free drinks for his entire table and threatening to write negative reviews on Yelp if his demands weren't met. The Balthazar incident resonated because it confirmed what many suspected about Corden's character. His treatment of service workers revealed someone who viewed people in subordinate positions as beneath him, worthy of abuse when they failed to meet his expectations. The contrast with his public persona as a lovable everyman was stark and damaging. McNally's decision to ban Corden publicly was unprecedented in upscale restaurant culture, where discretion typically protects celebrity clients. The fact that a respected restaurateur was willing to sacrifice potential business to protect his staff spoke volumes about the severity of Corden's behavior.
These sorts of moments come my way. I like to adopt, quite quite a British attitude.
Within hours of the Instagram post, the story exploded across social media. The public reaction was overwhelmingly supportive of McNally and critical of Corden. People shared their own alleged encounters with the comedian, painting a picture of someone who consistently treated service workers poorly. The speed with which Corden's representatives moved to contain the damage revealed how seriously they took the threat to his reputation. Within 6 hours, McNally posted an update saying Corden had called to apologize and the ban was lifted. But the damage was already done. Millions of people had seen the original post, and no apology could undo that exposure. 3 years before the restaurant scandal, Corden had already shown his capacity for catastrophically poor judgment at the 2017 AmFAR Gala in Beverly Hills. The event, dedicated to raising funds for AIDS research, should have been a solemn affair, focused on an important cause. Instead, Corden turned it into a platform for tone-deaf jokes about Harvey Weinstein's sex.
In LA, it's so beautiful. Harvey Weinstein has already asked tonight up to his hotel to give him...
Just days after the Weinstein scandal had broken, sending shockwaves through Hollywood, Corden chose to mock the allegations for laughs. His opening joke referenced Weinstein asking the evening up to his hotel to give him a massage, directly making light of the specific pattern of abuse dozens of women had described. The audience response was immediately uncomfortable, with audible groans greeting his attempts at humor. Rather than reading the room and pivoting away from the topic, Corden doubled down, making additional jokes about Weinstein in hot water and suggesting the audience should leave if they didn't appreciate his comedy.
You can't just bounce out there and think you can do jokes about abuse and rape and it's fine just to joke about it. That you've got to be very intelligent when you do it. You've got to make sure you're targeted.
His jokes weren't just poorly timed. They revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of the gravity of the situation. While survivors of sex were courageously coming forward with their stories, Corden was treating their trauma as material for his entertainment routine. The backlash was swift and devastating. Rose McGowan, one of Weinstein's accusers, called Corden a m***let on Twitter. Asia Argento, another survivor, labeled him a pig and condemned everyone who laughed at his jokes. Anthony Bourdain pointed out that Corden was making light of rape, not just inappropriate behavior. The controversy revealed disturbing aspects of Corden's worldview. His choice to make these jokes at an AIDS research fundraiser showed a complete lack of empathy for marginalized communities. The fact that he continued after the audience's negative reaction demonstrated an inability to read social cues or acknowledge when he'd crossed a line. His eventual apology felt hollow and calculated, coming only after the social media firestorm threatened his career.
After hearing the response from the crowd, he added, "I don't know whether that groan was that you like that joke or you don't like that joke. If you don't like that joke, you should probably leave."
The damage went beyond the immediate controversy. It showed Hollywood that Corden was willing to mock sex survivors for applause, destroying any moral authority he might have claimed. The incident also highlighted Corden's relationship with power and privilege in Hollywood. Rather than using his platform to support survivors or condemn abuse, he had chosen to protect his relationship with powerful figures like Weinstein through humor that minimized their crimes. As more stories surfaced, a clear pattern of behavior emerged that explained why so many people in the entertainment industry had grown to dislike James Corden. His treatment of those he perceived as beneath him in the Hollywood hierarchy was consistently dismissive and often cruel. Directors who had worked with Corden began speaking out about his on-set behavior. Craig Duncan, who directed a segment for the British show A League of Their Own in 2013, described him as the most difficult and obnoxious presenter he'd ever worked with. Duncan revealed that Corden had yelled at him so severely that the experience impacted him for years afterwards.
But just like, I remember, he just looked at it like, that's not funny. That's not funny. Like, what? He was like, that's shit. That's shit. We have to rewrite that. We have to rewrite.
The stories weren't limited to professional settings. Flight attendants and fellow passengers reported incidents of antisocial behavior during air travel. Restaurant servers across multiple establishments shared similar accounts of rudeness and entitled behavior. Hotel staff, car service drivers, and other service workers all seemed to have encountered the same version of Corden. What made these revelations particularly damaging was their consistency. Different people in different cities at different times all describe the same personality traits: arrogance, contempt for service workers, inability to handle criticism, and a belief that his celebrity status exempted him from basic courtesy. The entertainment industry began to turn against him. Comedians started making jokes about his reputation at industry events. Writers who had worked on his show shared stories about his treatment of staff. Even celebrities who had appeared on The Late Late Show began distancing themselves from him publicly.
The most difficult and obnoxious presenter I've ever worked with is James Corden.
His handling of criticism also followed a predictable pattern. When confronted with evidence of his bad behavior, Corden would initially deny everything, then offer a carefully crafted apology that blamed misunderstandings rather than acknowledging his actions. When the controversy passed, he would return to the same behavior patterns. The contrast between his public and private personas became impossible to ignore. While he preached kindness and inclusivity on television, people who worked with him experienced someone who was demanding, dismissive, and often cruel. The cognitive dissonance damaged his credibility even with supporters. Industry professionals began warning each other about working with Corden. Word spread that he was difficult to manage, hostile to crew members, and unwilling to collaborate effectively. His reputation for being fake became widespread, making it harder for him to book quality guests and maintain audience trust. By 2023, the accumulation of controversies had begun seriously impacting Corden's career prospects. His decision to end The Late Late Show was officially attributed to wanting to return to London for his family. But industry insiders understood the real pressures he was facing. Major celebrities started declining invitations to appear on his show. Booking guests became increasingly difficult as publicists worried about their clients being associated with Corden's damaged reputation. The show's ratings, while never spectacular, began declining as audiences grew tired of his persona.
The schedule's just so all over the place. We've just got to get it done because I only have a tiny amount of time before we have to go back and do the show.
His film career also suffered. After the disastrous reception of the movie Cats, in which his performance was widely mocked, Corden found it harder to secure quality roles. His portrayal of a gay character in The Prom was criticized as relying on offensive stereotypes, further damaging his standing with both critics and audiences. Award show hosting opportunities, once a reliable source of high-profile work for Corden, began drying up. Producers worried that his presence would become the story rather than the event itself. His attempts to rehabilitate his image through carefully staged interviews and social media posts only highlighted how calculated his public persona had become. The comedy world, which had initially embraced him as a fresh voice, began treating him as a cautionary tale. Other comedians referenced his downfall in their routines, using him as an example of how fame could corrupt someone's character. The mockery stung because it came from his peers, people who understood the pressures of the entertainment industry. His relationships with industry power players also deteriorated. Executives who had once courted him for projects became wary of the baggage he brought to any production. The cost-benefit analysis of working with Corden shifted dramatically as his reputation problems outweighed his diminishing star power. Even his charity work, once seen as evidence of his good character, came under scrutiny. People began questioning whether his philanthropic efforts were genuine or merely attempts to rehabilitate his image. Every public appearance was analyzed for signs of authenticity versus calculation. The end came not with a single spectacular failure, but with the slow realization that James Corden had become unemployable in Hollywood. His final months hosting The Late Late Show were marked by increasingly desperate attempts to recapture his former popularity.
So proud of the show. I'm so proud of what we've done. Absolutely feels like the right time to say, I think we did everything we came to do.
Guest appearances on other shows became awkward affairs, with hosts clearly uncomfortable having him as a guest. His attempts at self-deprecating humor about his controversies fell flat, coming across as defensive rather than genuinely contrite. The chemistry that had once made him charming on television had completely disappeared. Behind the scenes, his behavior reportedly became even more erratic as the pressure mounted. Staff members described someone who was paranoid about his image and hostile toward anyone he suspected of leaking negative stories about him. The friendly workplace atmosphere he had cultivated early in his run completely evaporated. His farewell episode of The Late Late Show was a somber affair, despite attempts to make it celebratory. Many of the celebrities who appeared seemed to be fulfilling contractual obligations rather than genuinely celebrating his career. The absence of certain A-list guests who had been regular fixtures on the show was notable and telling. The British entertainment industry, which might have welcomed him back as a conquering hero, instead viewed his return with skepticism. His reputation had preceded him across the Atlantic, and producers there were just as wary of the baggage he carried as their American counterparts. His attempts to launch new projects met with indifference from both audiences and industry professionals. The magic that had once made him compelling on television was gone, replaced by the knowledge of who he really was beneath the performance. No amount of media training or image rehabilitation could restore the innocence his early success had relied upon. Even his core fan base began abandoning him as more stories emerged, and the pattern of behavior became undeniable. The people who had defended him through the early controversies found it impossible to continue supporting someone whose actions contradicted everything they thought he represented. In May 2022, another scandal erupted that cut to the heart of Corden's integrity as a performer. Stand-up comedian Ricky Gervais accused Corden of stealing material, a cardinal sin in the comedy world that destroys reputations and ends careers. The accusation came during a heated exchange about originality and creative ownership in entertainment.
Well, it's the town square. It's the town square, that's what it is. I'm like, but it isn't. Because if someone puts up a poster in a town square that says, guitar lessons available, like, you don't get people in the town go, I don't...
The joke-stealing allegations weren't new. They had been whispered about in comedy circles for years. Multiple comedians claimed Corden had appropriated their material for his monologues and sketches without permission or credit. What made the Gervais confrontation significant was that it brought these accusations into the public spotlight. Comedian Dan Mazer publicly revealed that Corden had lifted one of his bits almost word for a Late Late Show segment. The joke involved a specific observational routine about airline food that Mazer had been performing for months before it appeared on Corden's show. When confronted, Corden's team claimed it was coincidental, but the similarities were too precise to be accidental. Other comedians began sharing their own experiences. Jack Whitehall, another British comic, discovered that material from his stand-up routine had appeared in Corden's Netflix special, almost verbatim. The theft wasn't subtle. Entire setups and punchlines had been copied with only minor word changes to disguise the plagiarism. The pattern extended beyond individual jokes to entire comedy concepts. Corden's production team would apparently watch smaller comedians' performances, identify successful bits, and incorporate them into his shows without attribution. This systematic theft of intellectual property revealed another layer of his entitled behavior. What made the joke stealing particularly damaging was how it contradicted Corden's public image as a creative force. His success had been built on the perception that he was an innovative entertainer who brought fresh ideas to television. The revelation that much of his material was stolen destroyed that narrative completely. The comedy community's response was swift and brutal. Comedians who had previously worked with Corden began distancing themselves publicly. Comedy clubs and venues started blacklisting him from events, not wanting to be associated with someone who stole from fellow performers. The scandal also exposed the toxic culture within his production team. Writers and researchers admitted they had been pressured to find material wherever they could, regardless of ownership. The Late Late Show had become a content mill that prioritized output over originality, creating an environment where theft was not only tolerated, but encouraged. Anyway, that's it for the video, folks. Bye.